Hey, welcome back to Here for the Right. Uh,
Rewind.
Rewind. Okay, sorry, Maritza. Hey, welcome back to Here for the Instagram followers. I'm Willow,
I'm Maritza.
and a lot happened in this Fantasy Suite episode. It started out with Zach saying that it was really hard to be around the other guys as they're, in the final three now, and it's such a serious week. And you can clearly see the strange dynamic just radiating off the screen. It was very awkward. But
Oh
I liked
God,
hearing this conversation.
don't even get me started on the constant awkward pauses throughout this episode. Like, let me just 10 second, no, not even 10 second. It was a good 30 seconds of awkward long pauses and like heavy breathing. I'm just like, okay, can we like cut this and like skip to the next thing?
Yeah, I was just always like, is this editing or is it really just this awkwardly silent? Like, it's painful. But in all honesty, usually we don't see during the final three. They don't usually have all the people together. We saw it for the first time, I think, with Pilot Pete's season last time, where they had, the final three women sharing a hotel suite or something, and they were all like, "What? This is really awkward." And this is
Mhm.
kind of the same situation. And it was just really strange, but I like being able to see them actually talking about it and openly acknowledging this is awkward. And then
For sure.
Brendan and Zach were both actually relating on not wanting to stack divorces, which I'm like, that's a very legit fear.
No, for sure. And like I think we that reflects in like later in this episode, like the events that occur, just like
Mhm.
I guess how important like the second marriage is because for Tayshia, for Zach, and for Brendan, it is like they want it to be like the end deal.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you don't want to do something, just the emotional investment and labor in one marriage is already enough. And to do that again, that's a lot. And then to do it again, that would just be insane. So, we don't want a Ross Geller, like you said last episode.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
and then JoJo was back to talk with Tayshia, and I'm like, why is JoJo back?
I was thinking the same thing. So like she talked to Tayshia for clarity, but I was just like, God, I thought we had enough of this clarity talk last couple weeks that JoJo was there. I was like, I don't really need more of
And like
JoJo.
we saw Rachel later in the episode, why didn't we just bring Rachel in now? Have us have a little intro talk with her, and then she can re-meet later on, and that could be like a more well-rounded way about it. Because honestly, JoJo, I was like, did she just not leave the bubble and they're like, oh, let's just reuse her while she's still here? Like,
Yeah,
what was going on with that?
I think that's what was happening, but like I feel maybe like Rachel didn't have enough time to quarantine. I don't even know, but like I like Rachel a lot more. I like her dynamic with Tayshia a lot more than JoJo's.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think Tayshia and Rachel also have worked together in Bachelor Nation outside of the shows. And so they know each other well. It's just a more natural dynamic. You can clearly tell JoJo and Tayshia really have no honest history, like at all. JoJo is
Yeah,
just so pre Tayshia's era.
exactly. Like I think they just kind of use her because she's so like I guess so seasoned and so like used to everyone in Bachelor Nation, but like there isn't really any like resemblance, any like connection there.
Well, she's kind of just like the last success story they've had for Bachelorette, too. So they're like, oh, we have to show her. Like, Rachel was a success story, but for whatever reason, because Rachel's season didn't get good ratings, they don't really talk about her. And I think she's still with her guy, but they don't talk about it, like, at all. But they'll go
No.
on and on about, Ari and Lauren and things like that, too, because again, success stories.
Of course, which I feel kind of ironic why for some reason they don't show Rachel's season when she was like, the first black bachelorette and like
Because it was their worst rated season.
yeah, which is I don't know, that's sad. But
Racist
really
viewership
yeah,
here.
exactly. It really talks about what kind of viewers are for the Bachelor franchise.
Seriously. I mean, I think it was also really interesting. A lot of the Bachelor, celebrities in the Batch Nation, previous players and things like that, around election time. I don't know if you saw this, but they were posting a bunch to their Instagram stories of polls, like who'd you vote for, Trump or Biden, just to see who their follower base voted for. And so for, say, like Ari, previous ex-Bachelor, he had like 56% Trump followers. And then and he actually said that he didn't vote. And then Peter Weber as well as Kelly Flanagan both also had majority Trump followers. It was just really interesting how you break it down. The majority of Batch Nation does kind of seem to be like Southern America.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, we do see a lot of most of even like the Bachelorettes and the Bachelors, and like all of them are white, as we've talked about for sure. And like it, like, I don't know, it's just,
we have a
it's
lot of
kind
our Southern Belle pageant girls and like our cowboy guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, then Chris Harrison, he comes in and he gives a rundown to the guys of what's happening this week, reminds them how serious it is, and hands out the first overnight date card, which goes to Ivan.
Yeah, and so he gets the first like fantasy suite, and again the long pauses when he like gets a suite, and like they when he, oh my god, it was just so painful, those long pauses. I couldn't like deal with them. Like they didn't talk. They were like talking about like there's this elephant in the room. But Zach made a good point how this week really is for mostly Tayshia. It wasn't really about what happened in each day. It was mostly like the clarity that Tayshia got from each date.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, no, that's totally what you should be focusing on, and you should just be remembering that if it's true and legit love that you guys have, you shouldn't be worrying at all about it. It should feel easy and natural, and you should feel confident.
Exactly. Like I feel like if by any chance there was some nervousness, like that's like kind of the point when they're like, yeah, that's when you're probably not ready for marriage.
Yeah. And Ivan was so awkwardly happy about this too, getting the card first. All the other guys were just kind of like, sitting there, like literally judging him. I think Zach even said, like, Ivan's a good guy. He let his sister date him, but he doesn't want his girlfriend dating him. And I'm like, I think that's a good way to put it,
No, yeah, for sure. Cause like, I mean, like I was said, like all these guys are like super great guys. And like, I love how you put that too, like the trust. And I guess also like the bromance there is around the group of guys, even though like there's those long pauses and like, what do we talk about how we're all dating the same girl? Like that's kind of awkward. But like, no, yeah, it like Ivan was so giddy about it. I mean, the date itself was like, it was different. It was a different date.
Yeah. Let's get into that. So, funny thing, first thing Tayshia says she notices was that Ivan was hot and sweaty, and she says, "Let's go cool off." And she basically presents Ivan with an ice bath and says, "We're going for the world record for world's longest kiss." Oh my God, Bachelor in Paradise, Carly Evans, and erectile dysfunction doctor, world's hottest jalapeno pepper kiss. Did you watch that season?
No.
This was terrible. Oh my God. So it was this guy, and he had been on JoJo's season, and he was an erectile dysfunction doctor. I don't remember his name, but it always had his name and then that. And so, like, it was just that's how I remember him. And he ended up dating this girl named Carly Evans, and they got married on a later season of Bachelor in Paradise, but they met on Bachelor in Paradise. And it was the same season that like Jared and Ashley Iaconetti got together. And they had a world record hottest kiss. And it was like they had to eat like ghost peppers and make out for like 2+ minutes. And it was so gross and slobbery, and they were drooling by the end. And this is exactly what this reminded me of. It was terrible. Like, I don't like these dates where they have to like beat records and just sit there kissing each other. It's awkward. Stop doing it.
No, yeah, for sure. I can like, I mean, like the host of this date was like Chris Harrison and Big Paul. Do you know who Big Paul is?
Not a clue.
I was like, Big Paul, am I supposed to know this? Is this some guy that appeared in some type of Bachelor or other season that I don't know about, but I was so confused. But I was like, it's kind of so awkward, like for them being there and the producers and everyone else, the camera crew, just staring at these people for 6 minutes straight, like them
Yeah,
just kissing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a cute date because like I mean, they were just like at first, like they were like shivering, like, oh my God, it's cold. But like, I think what I liked was when Tayshia was like, she didn't think that she would last, but like when they started like synchronizing like their breathing, I thought that was so cute and sweet. And like, I
I
think,
I agree. This did go over way better than the world's hottest kiss world record break date. That one was just cringe. This one, it ended up in the end emerging kind of cute and like sweet, you know. I
yeah,
also just looked it up. Apparently, he had something to do. Big Polly, ice bath kiss expert, is what ABC referred to him. Um, Apparently he was on, it was, I think it was the Bachelor in Paradise season with Chad Johnson, and he was the security who removed Chad from
it's
Bachelor in
so,
Paradise.
that's so random.
Yeah, apparently he's just like some security guy who's popped up in various episodes. Apparently he popped up in Bachelor season 14 when someone was kicking in a bathroom door. So yeah, he's just kind of like a security ghost who pops in and out whenever necessary, I guess.
Okay, Big Paul, I see you now. Okay.
Yeah. It's like a little Easter egg, Big Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, well, like at the end, they end up beating the record. I think the record was 5:15, and they ended up going for 6 minutes and 35 seconds. And because
Yeah,
Ivan was like, I'm gonna go
6:35.
above and beyond.
Yeah, I was like, okay, honestly, that's super cool. But the sad thing is, there's going to be like some competitive ass couple who's just going to be like, let's break this right now as soon as this got televised because they're like, we can do that better. But it was nice while it lasted. And then we skip back to Brendan and Zach in the same place they were like 8 hours ago. Did you
Just
notice?
don't
They're like
move.
sitting in the same place. And they say they're just trying not to think about the fact that Ivan's on the date with Tayshia right now, out of sight, out of mind. And the second date card comes and it goes to Zach.
No, yeah. I feel like honestly, I feel like they weren't sitting there the whole time because that would just been really weird. I think right when Ivan left, they said that and producers just like cut it and like edited it into this, but I don't know. I mean, what was it? Then Zach got the let's go explore ourselves date card, and then he just kept saying explore, exploring. He just wants to explore the entire episode. So I was like, okay, Zach likes to explore. Period.
He wants to explore Tayshia's body. Oh wait.
Period.
So then we skip back to the dinner portion of Tayshia and Ivan's date, which, oh, I was gonna say really quickly with the them filming that. When they filmed this though, it was dark out. Like they clearly filmed it because when they filmed with Ivan in the morning, it was like daytime. Now it's night, which I have an issue with the day night sequences in this episode a little later on too, which I'll bring up when we get there. But things are like not lining up right now, and it's
Mm.
really weird. And I feel like there's been a lot of inconsistencies with editing this whole season where you're like, I feel like this was reshot, or like they totally like just filmed this right after they filmed that because they're all wearing the same clothes, but this like was like put out, like later on in the episode. Anyways,
It's
have
just
you
this,
noticed
yeah.
those things?
Yeah, it's the messiness that I've seen. I mean, I didn't notice at the beginning, but later in the end, which in certain events I definitely noticed it and I was like,
Yeah. I think I noticed it a lot with like the end of Claire's season. I thought in those last few episodes, there was a lot
yeah,
of like weird inconsistencies. Felt like they were
yeah.
trying to like fill in the gaps of the story.
Yeah.
Anyways, so then we skip back to the dinner portion of the date, and they talk about the date, how saying that it was crazy setting the world record. And Tayshia was joking that Ivan was shivering more, and I just love seeing those little intimate moments.
Yeah. I mean, Tayshia also says like how she loves Ivan mostly because of like his easygoing feeling. And I think like, I mean, she mentioned it in a lot of the portion of the date, how like they can have like those fun times, like those joking around, tie-ins and teasing, but they also can have like those really deep conversations, and like how they can like jump back and forth between those two. And it just like really like builds that bond between them, honestly.
Yeah, and and Tayshia says she appreciates how she would manage to break down the walls with Ivan pretty much first. And she actually, reminded us that she cried in front of him and that she doesn't usually do that with guys. And he cried in front of her and they cried in front of each other. They've been vulnerable with each other throughout this season. And that's when they both reveal that they've been falling in love with one another. And Tayshia says that she's really excited for her future with Ivan, which, I mean, I do feel like there's definitely people she likes more.
I don't know. I feel like I love Ivan and I love like the bond that they have. And like I feel like Ivan does seem like head over heels for Tayshia, but I feel like Tayshia kind of treats Ivan almost like, I don't know, like kind of a friend. Like I get kind
No,
of
I
like
was literally just gonna
friend.
say friend vibes for sure.
Yeah, I was low-key getting like friend vibes. Like I see kind of like the more intimate connections she sees from like other guys. Like I don't
It's
know.
that
And
whole
it's
like,
just
remember how last week I was saying I feel like they might not have chemistry in fantasy suites?
mhm.
Can I say this? I don't think they did get super intimate in fantasy suites for
I
Ivan
don't think
and
so.
Tayshia.
I
Yeah.
don't think so either.
So I mean, once we get to that point, their fantasy suite for the, uh, yeah, fantasy suite. It's an Airstream RV with like a camping vibe, and
I
it
just
looked
need to
like
talk
they
about
had a
this.
waterbed for a sec with some weird like janky camera and like 70s like wool quilt that looked super itchy. It was not
I was not
my
feeling it.
vibe.
No. I was like, how under budgeted have they gone that they couldn't even afford a suite at La Quinta? They couldn't afford like a better fantasy
I'm
suite
like,
on
can I
there.
have the honeymoon suite at La Quinta? Can you just give
Yeah.
me the honeymoon suite since we've been
Yeah.
staying in the same boring ass room? Can you just give me the room you already have?
Like I
What the
feel like
hell?
I knew where they were going at. Like they were trying to get like that like vintage cute vibes, but like it just didn't work. It just looked cheap. It looked messed up.
They
It
needed
looked
some more like Target decor for it to be considered cute, like vintage vibes. There just wasn't
yeah.
enough like boho chic. It
No.
was just a little bit too much like KOA.
I love the comparison. Instead of KOA, instead of boho Target chic, we get KOA. Like, come on.
Expectations versus reality, folks.
Exactly.
That's been this entire season. Like this whole season, we've been wanting Target, we've been getting Marshalls.
No, exactly. No, yeah, no. We've been wanting Gucci. We've been getting Ross. Like,
Yeah, literally. I mean,
going back to like the mental room. Like, we wanted colors. We wanted everything, and we got
okay,
it at
but this
Dollar Tree.
it's what's really bad is that Zach's room wasn't even that bad.
No, it wasn't though. Like, why they do Ivan like that? Like, come on. Like,
Dude,
I saw Zach's room and it was a
all of the sets for Zach's State was like amazing. I'll talk about it when we get there, but like I literally wrote notes like they had full cherry blossom handmade trees that were sitting there while they were eating dinner. And I'm like, are those hand painted petals? Like, what the hell? And then compared to like this weird like KOA RV.
like I don't know. They kind of just already painting the picture of like what's gonna happen, like without like us even figuring it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. And I'm like, honestly, we're lucky Brendan went home before his fantasy suite because I feel like there's nothing that could have been, like, nothing could have been better than Zach's.
Yeah, honestly.
Honestly,
But
he
I
dodged
mean,
a bullet there.
I think one thing that we like I wanted to mention, like when there's talking about like, them falling in love with each other, was that the whole timing that we talked about last week. Like Ivan said he was falling in love with her and he knew he was falling in love with her like a couple weeks ago. And I was like,
Hmm.
a couple weeks ago, I mean, how long? I thought we were like this wasn't like a couple weeks ago. You just met her. Like,
yeah, I was
huh?
like, oh wait, hold on. It's been 28 days though, he said. So like what he's probably saying was Tayshia probably showed up. This is probably the timeline. It was Claire for like a week. Tayshia showed up, and then he had his one-on-one date at some point, and that's probably when he started thinking he was falling in love with her, and that was probably like 2 weeks to go from now.
Yeah.
That's probably what that is.
Okay, makes a little more sense in that aspect, but like still, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the next morning, they revealed they had a really special, great long night. They barely slept. But like I said, I don't think this was because they were having sex. Like, I don't think they
No.
did. I think
because I know Iva was talking about how they had so many like long serious talks and like that, and I feel like, and they said that they end up staying and watched the sunrise together, and like I was like, okay, that's cute, but like you said, I don't think there was that much like intimacy there. Like I thought that mostly was just talking. Like
he said they were able to have silly and serious conversations. They talked about religion and future goals and plans. Says they can be open and honest with anything. And here's the thing. Later on in the episode, Tayshia says to Zach straight up, she says she's falling in love with him. And she says to Brendan that she was in love with him, or she thought she was. She tells JoJo in the beginning she's fallen in love with two people. That means confirmed those people were Brendan and Zach, not Ivan. Yeah. That's why I think Ivan had the first hometown date. I think she wasn't intimate with Ivan, probably on purpose, because she probably wanted to save the intimacy for the people she actually is interested in, Zach and Brendan. Brendan went home, so that obviously didn't happen. So I think she was only intimate likely with Zach. And I think that's going to be very important going into the rose ceremony coming up, especially if Ben comes back, just with like everything going on. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of my thought process of like how it went, because like it seemed very strategic the way the dates were set up. Like she put Brendan last because like she was clearly, it seemed like, most interested in him.
That's what I thought too. And I feel like the way the dates are put out, they're not an accident. It's not a lot or anything like that. Like
there's no accidents with this season in particular.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. She did say that he is perfect, but like didn't really say if he's perfect for her. So
yes, and that was the thing. It's every time I've actually heard Tayshia talking about Ivan, she uses very specific language like that, where she's like, oh, I love that, like, he opens up and he's just so perfect and things like that, but she never is like, I want to marry Ivan, like she is with the other guys.
Exactly. No, yeah, I kept like seeing and feeling the same way exactly too.
And so then, Ivan, he goes back to the guys and they basically have another awkward ass conversation before,
I mean, yeah, like he was like talking about how weird the dynamic is, how you just tell a girl you're falling in love with her and then the next day she sleeps with someone else. Like, how weird is that? Like, what do you talk about?
Yeah, what do you talk about? And so then, we cut to Zach going on their date and with Tayshia, and this date is basically like a painting date, which opens up, which we see in the last like extra scene of the episode. It seems like it opens up with them actually painting on regular canvas, and then later on they go into more of the body painting art that we actually open up their date with how it was edited. But in that extra scene, if we wanted to go over that really quickly, I thought that was really cute. It was like them dating. I just said them dating. Of course they were dating. They were on a date. It was Zach and Tayshia were on their date, and they're starting with regular painting, and basically they're talking about their favorite. Was it self-portraits?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. But they're talking about their favorite color, and then like Tayshia asked Zach what his favorite color was, and he was messing with her for not remembering because she said she remembers everything. And then I just thought that was really cute and like really, like I've joked about that with people where I'm like, I remember everything. It was just like, oh, I love those little edits. It was a mood.
But like I guess like the part where then she tells him his, like her favorite colors, and then he like a couple seconds after is like, so what's your favorite colors? And she was like, I just told you. And he was like, huh?
Oh yeah, he was like, huh? I was thinking about myself. I wasn't listening. I was like, that's a mood. That's
Oh my
really
god. And then
relatable.
he asked what colors make orange, or like one of them asked what colors make orange, and then he was like and like Tayshia was like, it's like green and yellow, obviously, like you didn't know that. And then like
That's
like
blue.
Zach's like, of course I did. I'm like, I don't even know that, like you and me both.
Bro, you just said, how do you make orange? And I'm sitting here like, I think it's red and yellow, probably.
I was like,
Like,
orange makes orange, duh.
yeah. And so then we have Tayshia and Zach rolling around in the paint, on the date on a giant canvas on the floor, and they were wearing white underwear that could like get stained, and it was just very messy, and very
Messy and intimate for
slippery.
sure.
Definitely intimate. And one thing that I just literally like out loud while I was watching. I didn't sneeze, y'all. That was like my reaction.
That's not Rona. That is not Rona.
It is not Rona. That's my reaction. It was a weird reaction, but that was the reaction. Um, when Tayshia basically said like it was so intimate with Zach on the date, it was very romantic compared to her date with Ivan. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course it was. You set Ivan up for failure. You gave him an ice bath and and like an RV,
Like, what is
and
he
you
supposed to
gave
do with that? He's
what
got
is
no
he supposed
chance
to do
with
with?
that.
Yeah, and you give Zach a nice hot outdoor shower with like some nice paint and like some underwear rolling around in the paint, and then some night like a nice dinner with a nice hotel room. Are you kidding me? Of course that's more
Bro,
intimate.
I feel like Ivan was set up for failure since the very beginning. Like, let's compare the
Literally,
first two dates. Literally, Zach having the Ferris wheel, and
the
then
whole ass
Ivan
carnival.
having what the hell is that game with
Oh,
the
the
thing?
fucking floor is lava game, bro.
The floor is
No budget whatsoever. I think they gave him sushi. They gave him room service sushi, and floor is lava.
like they've been set up from the beginning. Like Ivan deserves better. I'm just saying it from now. Ivan, there's me.
Dude,
But
and
like
then Ivan's hometown date too was literally just cooking in his kitchen. And like, can I just say this? Okay, Zach has had all of the dates, dude. He had that whole ass carnival fair. Meanwhile, Brendan asked for a mini carnival, and they could barely deliver with that ring toss game. Like, could you at least get some little go-karts in here and like go-kart your ass around La Quinta? That would
exactly,
be
like no.
so fun. Anyways, I'm still angry about the hometown dates. They were not fair.
Us going off on how the producers basically budget this entire thing.
Yes, it's so unfairly and unequally budgeted. Claire got the full shaft. She didn't even get guest stars. Like, no one. It was just Chris, the guys, and like they were out just trying to survive. It was terrible.
No, no. But
I'm mad. I'm sorry. It's just at this point, come on, guys.
But anyways, his Zach's date was pretty great, as we can say that it was great. He got it all basically. They and finished the whole body painting. They ended up showering together in this little outdoor shower. Then went into this
Hmm.
great fantasy suite. Well, and actually, before the fantasy suite, let's go to the other part where they sit down in this little couch, like outside this little bell tower thing, and he tells her like, I guess, what did Tayshia say? Do you remember what Tayshia said? She told him something like, "Oh yeah," that she talked to his mom and saying like he
The whole
didn't.
kids thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't want to have kids, and she was like, "But I don't understand because like I told you like I want to have like 5 kids and all this, and you were okay with that. Like I'm confused."
Hmm.
And he was like, "Yeah, well, like that's a different me when I was talking to my mom about that. Like I always said I wanted to be the fun uncle. I never want to have kids. I want to be single because like that was easy." And
And it was
like
keeping his walls up and it was his facade.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, you like that's like so true. And like how he met her and he completely put his walls down and like said that he was gonna be authentic and he was gonna be open since the beginning. And like that's when he moves in saying that he was in love with her. And that's when Tayshia was like, I'm in love with you too. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh.
And I like really appreciated that. You can tell that Zach's definitely matured from the guy that he used to be when he was younger. And, he said that he appreciated Tayshia asking him and confronting him about that so that it wasn't something that was just weighing heavy on her mind. And then he said that he loves Tayshia's smile, her strength. After he tells her he loves her, he goes into everything. And it's so cute. She cries, says it's wild and that she loves him too. And it's just like so sweet.
He has a
And
way with
she says
words,
that she hasn't felt this way before. That was
which
cool.
is a key thing, I guess.
I think going into the next week, that's going to be major. But remember my theory that I talked about with Tayshia's dad maybe not liking Zach as a potential partner for her? I think that's going to be the one thing, if that does happen, I think that's going to be the one thing that like might throw a fork in the road.
I don't know. I don't want to say my theory because it kind of leads on to what might happen with Ben, which
Ben,
we haven't even talked about Ben, but like
yeah, we haven't gotten there
Ben.
yet.
So I'll say my theory at the end, but I have
Okay.
a theory.
All
We should
right.
talk maybe talk
So
about the fantasy suite thing.
yeah, fantasy suites. They have this nice ass comfy bed, and it's like I was saying, everything is really nice.
Not an RV.
Um, yeah, not an RV. And then basically the night goes great, and we cut to the next morning, and Tayshia and Zach are dancing on the bed, and Zach's like, "This is so out of character for me. I've never wanted to dance on the bed with anybody."
No, yeah, for sure. And like, I feel like this just came up to my head that like, uh, Tayshia, I don't know when she mentioned this, but she said that she loves Zach. Like he's like tall and handsome. I didn't
Mhm.
realize he was that tall, but maybe he is that tall. I don't know. Camera quality, the cameras do different things to me. But like he also has like swag, and she's like she always likes a guy with swag. That's kind of off topic from the whole wake up dancing, but like I don't know. It just came up to my head.
No, 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 totally. Tayshia really thinks positively and highly of Zach. Um, and yeah, they definitely had realness between them. I know I've been kind of skeptical of Zach leading up to here because like there's been just little things sometimes where it feels like maybe we're not seeing the full picture, but now I feel like pretty confident on him and his story. Um,
I do too.
yeah,
I feel like he's one of the most mature guys I've seen on The Bachelor, on any of The Bachelor. Like
yeah,
he for sure like has his shit together in the
yeah.
in less words, yes. But I don't know. I thought they had an amazing day and like they didn't want to let go of each other and like it
It
was all
was
great.
very sweet. And now we go into Brendan's date. So,
I'm already crying.
this was one of those moments where, you know, it just sucks because it's like everyone's been there where it's like, oh, you're really into somebody, and then they're just not as into you as you thought they were.
Mhm.
And that's just the worst letdown. And Tayshia basically starts out the date by saying that Brendan is it, like in her little side interview. Brendan is it, and that she loves everything about him and has since the beginning. And I was like, oh yeah, first impressions are definitely important. He got that first one-on-one date. He reminds
First
me
impression
of
rose.
Nick Viall's Vanessa. Like she got the first one-on-one date, was kind of quiet throughout the whole season, didn't really make much of a fuss, was just kind of there. And then by the end, you were like, oh, are we like, is their relationship really that strong? Because you hadn't seen it much because she wasn't really around. But like, she got the last, fantasy suites, just like Brendan. And it was like really great. And they, got engaged in the end. It was just, I feel like these relationships mirror each other, except in the sense that Brendan obviously left. Um, but okay, this show did not set them up for success again with the date. What the hell?
I was like, why? Okay, honestly, this did not seem like a date. This seemed like an infomercial, for crying out loud. Like, so they go
Like the kind that comes on at 5 a.m. after you fell asleep with the TV on, paid programming.
literally. So basically, their date was engagement ring looking. I don't even like.
It
I
was
don't.
like
It was
diamond looking through Neil Lane, and like he
yeah,
presented a bunch of diamond bracelets for her to try on, and then
yeah.
brought out the wedding band.
Exactly. I don't know. Neil Lane really said, "I'm gonna use this time to promote my brand over here." If I took a shower time, he said, "These are handmade, handmade. I made them." Like,
Yeah.
I would be wasted right now. Like,
And
wow.
Brendan immediately looks like a deer in the headlights. And I would have loved to see a heart monitor on him during the scene. Like that would have been so entertaining. Or like just stick an Apple Watch on him, and then in the corner we just see like his beats per minute. Like
His like
just
heart
like
going up here, just like slowly
it's like
having a heart attack right
160.
now. Yeah, it's just like no, I definitely saw that. Like he was just seemed so like out of it, and like Tayshia felt the same thing too. Like she was like, I feel have like this weird like vibe from him. Like he's like doesn't he seems weird right now.
He looks at her and his pupils are like as dilated as they could be. He's like,
Literally,
oh
literally.
my God. I was like, calm down, like take some
Breathe.
CBD, take a deep breath, like we're gonna be okay. Um, you don't have to
We'll
do
get
this.
through this.
Blink to begin with, but blink twice if you need just like to get out.
I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like at that moment, Brendan definitely realizes how real like this thing is getting by seeing like all the rings because like Neil and like I guess he also was realizing that rings mean forever, like they mean eternity, and like he doesn't know if he can do that with Tayshia because he's
yeah,
been
that's
through
when
that
Neil
road
Lane was
already.
not helping because like
Oh
in the
no.
interviews, Brendan's all like, yeah, like this means a lot to me because I've been married before and it means forever and I'm scared of that. And then Neil Lane's like, this means forever. I'm like, did they
This
tell Neil
ring,
Lane like what Brendan said so that Neil Lane could say the exact same thing?
literally, it's the producers, man. It's the producers. They need new producers.
Yeah. So that takes us, I guess, to the dinner portion of the date. Oh, I was gonna say this. Brendan seems like, the guy that Tayshia wants, but Zach's just who she's gonna settle for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel too. And like I don't want and like I feel bad for Zach for that. But like I feel like it's always like she even said it. Brendan was always the one. Like every
Always.
day she woke up, it was always Brendan. And like it was always like even though like every time we saw it, like we always saw like the low key parts. We never saw like anything like as intimate as we saw with Zach.
Yeah.
But like you always felt like they always had that connection since day one. And
Yeah.
the
It's
dinner
just been
portion was really
easy. Tayshia
heartbreaking.
hasn't had to think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So basically, Tayshia opens up the date by telling, or wanting to tell Brendan how she feels because she wants to weed out what he feels from him. And she thinks that, by divulging her own feelings and emotions, that'll like make him hear what he wants to hear and he'll say the same thing. But unfortunately, that doesn't really go the way that she wants it to. Um, you know, Tayshia basically just says that she was glad to spend the day with Brendan, and that she felt like she's had a connection, just like you said, but she felt lost and stressed lately. And then that's when Brendan says that today reinforced the gravity of proposing and that he doesn't take any of this lightly. And it's been really challenging for him. And he said that he thought he was ready, and he wants a family and a wife and kids more than anything, but he said that he's still broken and he still needs time to heal. And I was like, okay, Tayshia's looking for a grown-ass man. Like, that's a
That's
grown-ass man
it
who's able
right
to
there.
recognize that.
Like I wanted to cry, man. Like he was crying, I was crying with him, man. Like he said
Yeah.
he wanted to give his whole heart to Tayshia, and he really did, but he can't give his heart when his heart isn't whole, and that shit got me. That shit got
Mm-hmm.
me.
That shit
Man,
got me.
I was like, God, no, you and your grown and mature turtleneck man, stop it.
Turtleneck sweaters. And then what didn't help was Tayshia's like broken heart smile that she had. Like it was the kind of smile that you make when you're trying to like pinch your nose so you don't sniffle, you know? Like
Mm.
just like I felt so bad for her. But,
Like,
you know, I she really just like looked like she watched like the love of her life walk away for a hot sec, you know?
yeah.
Like she was just
And I
kind of
mean, it
broken.
did happen. That's what happened. Her love of her life basically walked away right there. And
Yeah.
like she even said that like in her response to him, like, how do you respond to that, obviously? But like in her response, she was like, well, I'm not gonna force you to love me because like I've already tried fighting for love once and I don't want to do that again, basically.
Yeah.
Referring
Yeah.
to her last divorce. And like he seemed like he understood that, and obviously like what do you say to that? Like basically the guy that you were falling in love with this whole time like tells you that he can't get there with you. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
just
really liked what she said by saying my younger version of myself would be angry at you, but you can't like fight for something that's never gonna be. And I'm like yeah, you know, that's also Tayshia being mature and having
exactly.
experience dating and things like that, you know. And then this is when it's the next day. Basically that was like the hardest goodbye to watch too, by the way, because like she was sobbing when he left.
Yeah. And like I think it was just even at like at the car, and like she just like she wouldn't want to let go of him, and like he was just like he wanted to make it easy, but like it like broke him, like seeing how devastated it made her, and like also like realizing that she like that was the first time like she told him like she envisioned like a future with him, and like the like basically after the show ended and like marrying him and all that stuff, and like that's what made it like 100 times harder. And like it's it was just like, oh my god. And when he like told her like at the end, God bless you, like that I was like, okay, I'm deceased,
Hmm.
I'm dead, like no one
Hmm.
talked to me anymore. My heart's broken with you, Brendan.
Hmm. And then this next morning, Tayshia brings in Rachel and talk about Brendan basically one on one. And Tayshia says that she felt that it was Brendan since the beginning, and you know that Brendan couldn't get there though, and that is what basically ended the relationship. And Rachel asks a very good question. She asks if you know Tayshia got the clarity that she needed from every single fantasy suite, because that's like the whole point. And she says that she did. And then Rachel says, you know, you just got to trust your gut and be confident in your decision and don't regret it. Otherwise, you'll start thinking about all the people you left behind. And it's very similar to some advice that JoJo gave her, too.
Hmm. Exactly. And I mean, at that point, that's when she was like, do you have any, I don't know if she had regrets of anyone that she left behind. That's when he mentioned Ben. And she was like, because Ben's hot. I mean, God, I mean, okay, yeah, we know Ben's hot. Like, that's
Yeah.
just, but like, do you want to marry him just because he's hot? Like, this is
Yeah,
marriage we're
like he
talking
ain't
about,
like
man.
Tyler Cameron, bro. Like, you can't just marry because he's hot.
Exactly. Like the resemblance is uncanny. Like,
Yeah.
it's there. But I think they mentioned how like he was in the military, and like he put like his guard up like right when he mentioned his like how he was going home and stuff. Like basically he finally opened up to her, and like her like sending him home, he kind of just went blank. And like even like Rachel, like she was like, yeah, like that's what these guys do when they're in the military, like they're kind of trained for that, to show no emotion.
Hmm. Yeah, and I did like how she brought up Rachel said in defense of, you know, Ben, that that's his defense mechanism because he did open up to you. And so now he feels very vulnerable. And I think Rachel, she was either a lawyer or a therapist, but like I feel like both would know, you know, like just
Mhm.
listen to her. She's
She knows
educated.
better than JoJo.
She knows better than JoJo. Yeah, for real. And then, Tayshia from there, they just talk about the upcoming proposal, talking about being excited. And this is just when I had one question. Who decides if the roast ceremonies happen during the day, during the night, when the guys get ready for them? Because this is right before Ben shows back up, and we see all the guys cruising around La Quinta prepping for the rose ceremony at like 10 a.m. Like the light is like morning light in summer before it gets super hot. And all these guys are putting on their suits. I was like, oh, sweet. We're having like a midday like rose ceremony. This is like refreshing, cool. Because we do have had those before, like, finale and things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like Ben shows up and they talk and do all that thing. And then all of a sudden they're going to the cocktail party at like literally dark. And I'm like, what happened between the 12 hours since we like last saw you guys getting ready and you were
My
saying you were
question is,
going?
are they wearing those suits the whole entire day? Because then I feel horrible for them. They're sweating a storm right there.
I mean, I imagine what it probably is they're like, oh, we're gonna film a segment of you getting ready, and then they're gonna just take it all off, put their sweats back on, and just sit around all day and put it back on 5 minutes before.
Probably. Like,
That's what I would do.
I mean, same. Like, I'm not wearing like get all fancied up for an entire day just to be sitting alone in your room.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So then Ben, like I said, he comes back and
He walks up in
says
his red Vans.
walks up his red Vans and his like tight jeans, looking like a Hollister model.
With his low neck t-shirts as his, oh my god.
His
And it
like
shows up
low
at Chris
swoop neck.
Harrison's room. When
Yeah.
he showed up at Chris Harrison's room, I was like, is this another Ed encounter where he messed up the room
They
again?
sat
I
in the
was like,
same chairs.
yeah, I was like, I think I saw this meme somewhere. I saw this meme, it was like Ed right now is screaming fuck off like he did in the other one to Jason, like him
Yes.
screaming at the TV when he
You know,
sees
the whole like fuck that guy.
yeah,
Fuck Jason.
basically.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. So basically, Ben goes to Chris Harrison and tells him that, the last interaction he had with Tayshia is just so unlike him. It was so out of character, and that he wants to express. What are you good?
I'm
What happened? Fuck
sorry.
Jason? What I missed?
I'm sorry. Fuck Jason part.
Oh my God. What part?
Oh my god. I'm just imagining that fuck Jason in my head right now. I'm crying. Okay, keep
This
going.
is
I'm
the
sorry.
face that he makes too.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
No, it's all good. So yeah, he's basically begging Chris Harrison for a second chance on the show. And I was just having flashbacks again this whole time to like Bennett coming back. And I was literally
Bruh,
like, does
yes.
anybody that gets sent home off the show ever actually leave? Like, can the
Yeah, I
dead
was
stay
like,
dead?
I was literally thinking the exact same thing. Like, who lets them? Like, who has to talk with the producers and be like, "Yeah, come back"? Like, shouldn't there be? I thought there was a rule: when you're out, you're out. No coming back. No, no backsies in this. Like,
Well, this whole season, Chris Harrison's been like, there's no rules. Whatever. They're changing the rules all of a sudden, Maritza. It's
yeah,
been 20 years and they're changing the rules.
like all of a sudden they're like, it's a pandemic. Let's just like change the rules all of a sudden.
Yeah. So, then basically the editing here was super weird. So, it was like all daytime and then we cut to like clips of Tayshia just sitting there sipping water for literally no reason. There's no reason this was included in editing. She doesn't say anything. There's nothing significant that's happened. Tayshia's just sitting there sipping a glass of lime water and I'm like, okay. And then we cut to the rose ceremony, and then this is later on in the night now, and Ben's knocking at the door. And he apologizes for catching her off guard, and then just basically says what he said to Chris Harrison: the way things ended wasn't right, the
He's in
last
love
two
with her.
days, yeah, has just been like, what the hell? And I'm like, Bennett said the same thing, get some new lines.
Like, why am I getting deja vu hearing this? Like, Okay, can we just move on to the other guys? I don't care.
And then Ben goes, I love you. And she's like, oh my God, can you please not do this right now?
And then she's just like, oh my God, but like when she said that, it's the eye roll for me. I literally have this in all caps in my notes. It's the eye roll for me. She literally, when he screams at her, like not screams, but he was like, I'm in love with you. Like she was just like, and I'm like,
For all we know, what if like I'm just wondering, what if like producers gave her some insight on like how he realized she was in love with him? Like after he sent her home, like, oh, like Ben's home and like she was just chatting with a producer and the producer was like, oh yeah, you realized that like, oh, Ben realized he was in love with you, like to make her feel better or something. Like, oh, he realized he was in love with you just, because his friend said it. And he was like, yeah, totally. And like, what if she told, like, Tayshia knows that that's how it went down and does not believe him at all?
that would, I would, I would feel so bad for Tayshia. Me being speechless right now, I feel so bad for Tayshia at that moment. Like, honestly, this whole God, they really be doing her dirty like that, then Jesus. Oh no. Oh no.
Maritza, you cut out.
The
What?
internet. Ah! Were you saying something?
Not really. I was waiting for you to say something.
Um, um, where were we?
Okay, I don't even know. So, oh yeah, so she was like a statue. Her mouth was like agape, and she literally catches herself. She's sitting there, like the face where you're just like, she was
Yeah,
sitting there just like that, and then she
she was
catches
annoyed.
herself and she closes her mouth, and then Ben's just like, I can't leave without telling you this. I imagine a life with you, and she's just like, I need to take a minute, and she walks herself out.
Yeah, she goes straight to the producers. She goes talk. She's like, "There's a rose ceremony right now. What do I do with that?"
What do I
And then
do with
just
that?
yeah, exactly. And like Ben just kind of sits there and he kind of just like, I feel like he's like smirking. He's like, I think I did that. I think I'm gonna get this. I think I got this in the bag. I think he's having the same thoughts that Bennett's having. Like Ben Bennett. It literally like
They're the same. Ben and Bennett are the same. I see no difference. It's like one
I
half of the yin and the other half the yang.
exactly. What I mean, one's got the buffness, the other has the has the Paris house.
Hmm. A chateau, several
The
chateaus, I
Paris
think.
chateau. I was there and thinking, what's the word? What's the word?
Chateau in
Chateau.
Paris. Anyways, so that's the episode. And then looking forward to next week, they honestly did not give us very much in terms of compared to like other weeks, pre-clips to make predictions off of.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely a couple. Ivan's gonna get sent home.
Yeah, that's already
Sad.
that we've already talked about. Like I was gonna say, like that's kind of my predictions. Ivan's gonna get sent home. But what I was saying, how like the preview how it's showing how like the Tayshia's dad was kind of like warning her about. I feel like he's warning her about Ben, and
Ben.
I feel like he's probably warning her because like if Ben is barely coming to the conclusion like yeah I'm in love with you, like he's already eliminated. Like why did it take him 3 days to figure out
And
hey
getting
I'm
kicked
in
off the show.
exactly
Yeah.
like and I feel like that's who's he's like warning her about and I feel like I think that she's gonna marry not marry but she's gonna get engaged. I don't know who she's gonna marry any of these but I feel like she's gonna get engaged to Zach and I think it was like you said it was just to settle because I feel like her heart was really set on Brendan.
I agree. She's definitely she's gonna get proposed to Zach, probably. but I don't think that it's going to last.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I just like it feel here's the thing. He has his life, like I don't know if they thought about it, like their future. But he has a life in New Jersey, New York. He has his whole like addiction, his whole addiction like rehab like center that he like basically made. He's on the board of another one. And then
Well, Tayshia
Tayshia,
is open to New York though. Mind you, she was
okay.
going to move to New York after JPJ and her broke up. So that is a thing. She's okay with the East Coast.
Okay, I didn't know about that part, but yeah, I was saying like how she lives in like Orange County and stuff. So like, and
Yeah.
then also like when they're like daydreaming in their day, they're like, let's think of a dream. And she was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm thinking of us in Orange County. We're in my
Oh, that's
apartment.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
why I
didn't
was
picture
like,
that. I
yeah.
didn't
So
catch
like that's why I
that.
was like, I didn't know that she actually would be down to go East Coast because like when she talked about like the dream, like she was like, yeah, I pictured us like in my apartment, Orange County, like we go to the wake up, go to the cafe across my street,
Yeah.
and then we go on the boat and like all of this and that. And
And
like he liked the
and the life
daydream.
that Zach has isn't one he can just uproot, the whole center and everything, the rehab thing. You
Hmm.
can't just like you need time and connections. You can't just up and transfer to the whole other coast. Like
Exactly.
he won't have connections over here to get. I mean, I can't say never, but it's going to be a lot harder for him to transfer his job than it would be for Tayshia to transfer hers. She works online. She's an influencer. She doesn't do anything,
Exactly.
of substance like he does.
Yeah, he has a much more stable, a much more, I guess, rooted like job that he can't just be like moving around like she does. So it's like basically on her if she wants to be able to move over wherever he goes.
Yeah.
And
I just
I feel like there is intimacy there, like that they don't lack that for sure.
there's
But
definitely chemistry.
I don't know. He's mature and everything, but I don't picture it. I don't know
They're
why
from
I don't
very
picture
different
it.
families. They're from very different backgrounds and upbringings, and I think that ultimately, I mean, they don't have as much in common. Like Tayshia compared to Ivan, they have a lot in common in terms of their biracial upbringing, their outlook on life. Tayshia and Zach, it just seems like there's a lot of chemistry that we've seen time and time again, but they're from very different places. Tasha's expressed her struggles with life, and Zach's from a different place altogether. Like he's from
Exactly.
a family that was pretty well off and he got into drugs and things like that, but his family was still able to support him through all of that. And, his parents just seem very like way older than Tasha's parents. And just like think of holidays, think of like the long term here, holidays and just like marriage and kids and just like the reality of it. Zach's a lot older than Tayshia too. I don't know. Like that's just like those little things to take into consideration. And that's why I think she
Yeah,
was so bummed about Brendan. He's perfect.
exactly. And like even though like that's kind of why I was rooting for Ivan a lot because of
Hmm.
their like they had so much in common. I don't know about how much like how much she had in common with Brendan because like we said like their conversations weren't really like aired that much like
Hmm.
for viewers, but like I that's why I was rooting for Ivan a lot because their connections were like so real in terms of how much they had in common, like
Hmm.
they and it's just like they don't have that same like resemblance that and I guess what Zach lacks from Ivan, I guess.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out in the next episode, which we will, chat about next time we chat.
Exactly. So this was here for the Instagram followers. And we will talk to you guys next episode for the finale.
Woo! Bye.
Bye.